Hello everyone. Today we are starting with our history textbook's first lesson named Sources of History. So basically, I would like to tell you first that what is meant by sources of history. Sources of history means if we want to know, study or learn or write history, we should have some evidences, some proofs or some reports or documents etc. to write, study or to know history. These are all known as sources. There are many types of sources like written sources, material sources, oral sources, audio, video, visual form, etc. So basically, these are all sources, and we need this to know, write, learn, etc. to know the history. So what are these sources? On which sources we are studying history? All this we will see in this chapter. So let's start. Till now, we have studied the history of ancient, medieval, and modern India. Means, ancient India means Stone Age man, and after all, medieval in India means after the Stone Age man was developed, and the middle time after ancient and before modern. It is medieval, and modern India means after the independence and independence period after independence. This is all modern India, and we were in modern India. We were all moderns. Technology was also developed. So we will see. This year we have to study the history of India in the post-independence era. That is, post-independence means after the independence. What happened after the independence? We have to study all that in this textbook. Sources of modern history are different from those of ancient and medieval history. Means the sources that we take in modern history are different from ancient and medieval. We can study history with the help of various sources like written sources, material sources, oral sources, and sources in audio-visual medium. Don't get confused. We will see all these sources one by one. All these four sources: written sources, material sources, oral sources, and sources in audio-visual medium. We will see all these sources one by one. In the modern period, we have to take note of various sources at the regional, state, national, as well as international level. So, regional sources means based on the regional level, a region. State means based on state level. National means based on a nation level. And international means based on internationally, that is in the whole world. We can write history with the help of these sources. First only I have told you that on the basis of these sources we can write history. So first we will see written sources. See, the following sources are included in the written sources. You can see that a diagram is given in your textbook. Written sources: newspapers, periodicals, diaries, reference books, correspondence, documents in the archives, government gazettes, postage stamps, encyclopedias, etc. I will explain you one by one. Newspapers: the events or the things that happens daily are published in the newspapers. See, I will give you an example that if I take today's newspapers and preserve it, and if I will see it after 20 years, I could know that before 20 years what happened on this day and what were the things that were the topic of the chit-chatting of the people and that were famous, or people were chit-chatting on that. So newspapers is also a form of written sources. Then periodicals. Periodicals are the magazines that are published after a week or 15 days or a month. From that also we can know the history. Then diaries. Diaries means big people or anyone write diaries every day. Means what were the things happening today in my life or in the world or in our state, region, etc. So they are also part of written sources. Then reference books. Many reference books are available for us to study history. They are wrote by various authors, maybe freedom fighters or others. These are also sources. Then documents in the archives. What are archives? So please see the next down in the what do you know column. Do you know? The place where historical documents are preserved is called archives. The main office of the National Archives of India is at New Delhi. It is the largest among the archives in India. See, it is told that the place where historical documents are preserved is archives. Then what are historical documents? See, if there are letters, we will take an example of if Shivaji Maharaj wrote a letter to Aurangzeb. It is a document, important document. If we see it today now, we can know that what were the plans of Shivaji Maharaj and what he told to Aurangzeb. Then it may be letters, it may be documents. Then see, here it is given government gazettes, means government orders. That are also written sources. That is, if government give orders to arrest any freedom fighters for banning laws, or if government punishes anyone, government give orders. These are known as government gazettes. They are also in the archives. So these are documents, letters, are the proofs of history, and from that we can know and learn history. So they must be safe, and they should not be destroyed. So the government has introduced a place called archives, where these all documents are preserved and stored safely. Then it is given postage stamps. See, postage stamps you all know. Previously there were chatting among people with posts. People were talking with each other with posts. So based on the weight of the post, we put stamps on it. These are known as postage stamps. There are 50 paise, 25 paise, 1 rupee, 2 rupee, 5 rupee, etc. So, what was there previously? If any important event happened in India or in any country, immediately its postage stamp was made. For example, if India launched her first aeroplane, then a post stamp was made with a picture of aeroplane and the date on which the first aeroplane was launched. So, if we see some postage stamps before 20 years, 50 years, we could know the history, that what happened, which event took place. So this also comes under written sources. Then last topic is encyclopedias. Encyclopedias are big books or textbooks which have deep knowledge of one or many things. So these are all written sources. See, do you know we have read just now? Below to it, just as newspapers are considered the fourth pillar of democracy in modern India period, in the modern period, they are also a major medium of information. So don't get confused by fourth pillar. The fourth pillar of democracy is not only newspapers. It is media together, which also include newspapers, radios, televisions, etc. The media, mass communication. So here the newspapers is referred fourth pillar instead of media. Then we will see the next. From 1961 to 2000, we see that in the beginning there was no alternative to print media, especially newspapers. With liberalization and widespread use of internet in India, an alternative for print media became available. Yet the print media still continued to be powerful. See, from 1961 to 2000 and beginning of 2000, there was no alternative to print media. Means everything was printed. Every book, newspapers, especially newspapers, were printed. But after 2000, as technology was developed, social media came. We can read newspapers, books, we can download them online, also save papers through it. But though there is technology, print media is there is print media still. Print media is still in demand. Though we read books and all things on mobile, but there is more popularity to print media. Then we will see newspapers. Through newspapers, we can get information about national and international affairs. See, it is given from newspapers. We get information about what? We get information about national and international affairs, politics, arts, sports, literature, and social and cultural affairs. Newspaper contains matters related to human life. Most national newspapers have started their regional editions. They publish supplements that give information about various topics, newsletters of various movements, the dailies or weeklies of political parties. Dailies means every day, the newspaper which come every day, and weeklies means the newspapers which comes after every week. There is also monthly and annually magazines. Means after monthly means magazines that come after month, and annual magazines means magazines that come annually, that is after each year. And important among the print media, some newspapers produce special supplements towards the end of the year that take overview of the important events of the year. Such supplements help us to understand the important events of the year. See, it is told that some newspapers produce their special elements, publish their special supplements or magazines towards the end of the year. Means when the year comes to an end, many newspapers or magazines, special magazines are published to take an overview that what important events, things happened in the last whole year. Then Press Trust of India, PTI. PTI means Press Trust of India. After 1953, the Press Trust of India has been an important source of primary details of all important events and of articles on important subjects. See, after 1953, Press Trust of India had an important source of primary details. Means through that Press Trust, all the papers and all magazines were published. Press Trust of India has provided reports, photographs, and articles on financial and scientific issues to newspapers. So it is given. What they have provided? They have provided reports, photographs, and articles on financial and scientific issues to newspapers. PTI, that is Press Trust of India, has now started its online service. So due to the social media, it has started its online service during the 1990s. PTI started using the satellite broadcast technology of teleprinters to send news all over the country. This material is important for writing in the history of modern India. See, Press Trust of India has, due to the developed technology, instead of teleprinters, previously teleprinters were used to send news all over the country, but it has started using satellite broadcast. This material is important for writing the history of modern India. So we will see the next page. Do you know, among the print media, the information contained in the annual issues of Publications Division of Government of India is authentic and trustworthy. For example, the Information and Broadcasting Department published India 2000, an annual reference book. This reference book is created under Research, Reference and Training Department. The information about all the events and other things happened that was contained in the Publications Division of the Government of India is authentic, that is right, true, 100% true, pure and trustworthy, so we can trust it easily. For example, the Information and Broadcasting Department published India 2000, an annual reference book. See, this is the reference book. India 2000 means what were the things and events that happened in India in 2000 year. That all things, all evidences, all events were reflected in this book, India 2000. This was a reference book. This reference book is created under Research, Reference and Training Department. It was created under Research, Reference and Training Department. It contains useful information about, see, it is given that the book India 2000 or book India, it may be any year. Which information it contained? It is told that it contains useful information about the land, its people, national emblems, political system, defense, education, cultural events, and an account of development in the fields of science and technology, environment, health and family welfare, social welfare, media of mass communication, along with basic data related to economics, finance, planning, agriculture, water, conservation, rural development, food and civil supplies, energy, industries, trade and commerce, transport communication, labor, housing, laws and statutes, youth and sports departments, etc. It is possible for us to write history with the help of such information. See, in this book, all issues were discussed. All the issues related to this, all the events related to these issues or these topics were reflected or were written in this book. If we read such books, we will understand that what things were happened in these years. So there is given website from which we can see it. Next topic, postage stamps. The postage stamps don't reveal anything. Wait, first I will tell you. Previously also I have told you that postage stamps. What are postage stamps? If we want to write a post, make a post to anyone, write a letter and post it according to the weight of that letter, we have to purchase a post stamp and we have to stick on it. It may be of 25 paise, 50 paise, 1 rupee, 2 rupee, 5 rupee, etc. So the postage stamps don't reveal anything on their own, yet a historian makes them to speak. Historian means a person who knows or who studies and tells history to everyone. There have been several changes in the postage stamps since India became independent. Postage stamps reveal a lot to us about changing times due to the variety in the sizes of the stamps, the novelty in their subjects, and color schemes. I have told you previously, so I'm telling it again that postage stamps means I will give you an example that if previously I gave you an example of the first flight of India, first aeroplane launched by India. Now I will give you the second example that Rakesh Sharma was the first Indian man to step up on the moon. So when he stepped up, when he put his first foot, landed on the moon, a stamp was made with the picture of Rakesh Sharma, an astronaut, landing on moon, keeping step on the moon, and with the date. So if we see it after 20-50 years or now, if we will see the stamp, we will understand that when this event was happened and how. The postal department issues postage stamps on a wide variety of themes like political leaders, flowers, animals, birds, an event, or the silver, golden, diamond jubilees, or sanitary, bicentenary, tricentenary of different events. It is therefore valuable repository of history. See, the postal stamp issues postage stamps on different things like political leaders. There are many postage stamps of Gandhiji, Bhagat Singh, and other political leaders or freedom fighters. And then the flowers, animals, birds, event explaining their importance. Or if an event completes silver, golden, diamond jubilees, means 25 years, 50 years, 60 years. Sanitary means 100 years, bicentenary 200 years, tricentenary 300 years of different events. If an event completes this much years, their stamps are made. See, now we will see about Jal Copper. We will see about Jal Copper. We will see about Jal Copper. The Indian government issued the Jal Copper stamp in 1977. Jal Copper was an internationally acclaimed philatelist, that is, an expert on the subject of post stamps. The Indian government issued Jal Copper stamp. See, I will tell you about Jal Copper. That Jal Copper was internationally acclaimed, international philatelist. What is philatelist? He is a person, a man who collects stamps. He likes to collect stamps, or he has a hobby to collect stamps and study it. As I told you, that stamps reveals history. So a person who likes to collect stamps and studies on them is known as philatelist. Jal Copper was internationally acclaimed philatelist. He was born in a Parsi household in Mumbai. Copper means here Jal Copper edited India Stamp Journal. He did many edits in the India Stamp Journal. He was the founder of the first philatelic bureau in India, an office that collected stamps. See, it is told that the first philatelic bureau in India, that is, what is that? It is an office that collected stamps. He founded, see, it is given. He was the founder of the Empire of India Philatelic Society. He went on to write many books on this subject. He wrote many books on this subject. He gave a scientific bent to this hobby. He played a pivotal role, a great role in taking the study of Indian postage stamps to international level. See, he took the study of Indian postage stamps to international level. How great was his work? Having started his career as a postage stamp collector, Copper achieved the expertise of a philatelist at international level. The postage stamp on Jal Copper is an important source to understand his significant contribution to this field. See, the first line. The Indian government issued the Jal Copper stamp in 1977 to mark the importance of Jal Copper, to mark his achievement. The Indian government issued Jal Copper stamp in 1977. In 1977, his stamp was made. You can see the picture of the stamp. Then we will come to material sources. Till now we have completed written sources, that are postage stamps, newspapers, etc. Now we will come to material sources. The following sources are included among the physical sources. See, first I will tell you what are material sources. Material sources are the sources that we can touch, that are physically present, are known as material sources. Material sources are also known as physical sources. You can see that, like written sources, there is also chart of material sources. There are coins, places of worship, things in daily use, royal seals, ornaments, museums, clothing, modern architecture, etc. We will see them one by one. Coins. We can also understand history with the help of coins and a change in the printing of currency notes. Reserve Bank of India prints the notes. It has its headquarters in Mumbai. It is given that we can also understand history. We can understand history with the help of coins. Yes, you will be surprised. I will tell you how we can understand history with the help of coins. First we will see that Reserve Bank of India. You might have been heard about Reserve Bank of India. It is the only bank who has right to print notes. The headquarters of it are in Mumbai. The coin from 1950 to those used at the present, the metals used for making them, the different shapes, the diversity of subjects on them together helps us to understand the importance of contemporary issues in India. Example, coins to convey the message of population control, and coins communicating the importance of agriculture and of farmers. See, if it is given that the different metals used for making them, their shapes, diversity on the subjects, the color schemes, etc., tells us the history. You can see there is a coin written Bharat, India. The first is showing national emblem, important sign of India, showing importance of India. And the second one, you can see 1970, the year 1970, and there is sign or symbol of maize. It is representing the crops, and it is giving importance to the agriculture in India and the farmers. So we can see the history. The next topic is museums. All states of India have museums that depict the characteristics and display the cultural and social heritage of the state. First of all, I would tell you that what are museums? A building in which cultural, historical, and other things that are stored and displayed are known as museums. You might have seen many museums. There are other things that were used in past in the history. They are cultural heritage of the state. They enable us to understand history. Example, the Chhatrapati Shivaji Maharaj Museum at Mumbai, Reserve Bank Museum in Pune. Apart from the government museums, some private collectors also set up their own museums. They are based on distinctive subjects, example coins, notes, lamps, and nutcrackers in different shapes, cricket equipments, etc. Means, if we store the things that are used now, after a definite period of time, means after 50 years, 100 years, the things will change. They will be advanced, more better, and so no one will remember things in the past. Or for the new generation, the things in the past are unseen. So if the new generation goes in museum and sees the things in the past, they can know that how the man in the past lived and which things he utilized. For this reason, museums are important. There are coins, notes, lamps, nutcrackers, means the equipment from which nuts are cracked. It is known as adkitta in Marathi. They are of different shapes, designs, etc. And cricket equipments, the stumps, balls, bats, used in previous times or now, are also there. Also the swords and other weapons of Shivaji Maharaj and other freedom fighters are there in museums. These are all material sources. Now we shall study oral sources. These sources include folk tales, folk songs, proverbs, ballads, and ovids, Marathi verses in the oral tradition. See, I will tell you what is meant by oral sources. The word itself tells us that they are oral. The songs, poems that are said orally, also tells us about the history. Means the history of Shivaji Maharaj and other freedom fighters is wrote in Povadas. So by hearing or reading Povadas, we can know the history. What was that time? Shivaji Maharaj fought with whom and how he succeeded others. So these sources include folk tales, folk songs, proverbs, ballads, and ovids. Activists were inspired by the Povadas of Lokshahir Annabhau Sathe and Shahir Amar Singh during the Sanyukta Maharashtra movement. Then we will see tragedies as an example of how some event gets reflected in literature and how a poet perceives that event. Study the poem Avahan, written on the backdrop of the Sino-Indian War by the noted Marathi poet Kusumagraj. Find pieces of literature based on the contemporary events. This is the activity for all of you. Kusumagraj was a great poet and his full name was Vishnu Vaman Shirvadkar. You can also study about him. Then the next source is audio-visual sources. It is based on technology. Television, films, internet are called audio-visual media. Many domestic and foreign television channels also came under this head. History Channel, Discovery Channel, etc. The name itself tells us that the sources which have audio as well as video, from it we can understand better. For example, if we want to study about Mahatma Gandhi, we have to read many books, documents, that is sources. But if one makes film or documentary on Mahatma Gandhi ji, and if we will see that with the audio visual effects, we can understand it more clearly and we will learn more fast. So they are also important for us now. Then next we will see Film and Television Institute of India, FTII. The Government of India started the Film and Television Institute of India at Pune in 1960 with the purpose of providing public education. See, the Government of India started Film and Television Institute in 1960. This institution was started in Pune. What was the purpose? The purpose was to provide public education about the film and all the knowledge about it. An institute called Indian News Review has produced various news skills on important events in politics, social issues, art, sports, and culture. This department has also produced various documentaries on prominent social leaders, on people who have made major contributions for the country, and about important locations in India. These news releases and documentaries are useful for studying the history of modern India. You can see the logo of FTII, that is Film and Television Institute of India. It is very creative and looking attractive due to the colors. Try this. This is the activity for all of you. Which films about patriotism do you know of? In your own words, write a review of one such film that you have liked. Till now, we have seen some important sources for writing the history of modern India. The times in the 21st century are changing so rapidly that even these sources will prove to be inadequate. However, new sources are coming forth. See, till now we have studied important sources. We have studied the important sources of history. And the times of 21st century are so rapidly changing that these sources will also prove to be inadequate. But due to the technology, new sources are coming forth. For example, during the transformation from landline telephones to cell phones, that is, when the landline telephones were transformed to cell phones. Previously, there were landline telephones to contact with each other. For them, a line used to be there. Means the two landlines would have connected with wires. But the cell phones are connected with satellites. A gadget called pager came out for the contacting of people. Means when landlines, the popularity of landline was decreased, And when the use of cell phones and the popularity of cell phones came up, in between this period, a new gadget called pager came up for contacting people, but it did not work out for a long time. It died out as quickly as it had came up. The huge amount of information available on the internet is used for studying history, but the truth and authenticity of this information needs to be verified. Yes, it is so true that due to the internet we can study history, and it is easy to study history and all subjects. But whether it is true or false, the truth and its accurateness, the authenticity needs to be verified. It needs to be verified. Not all the things on the information are false, but not all are true. Now it has become comparatively easy to study history with the help of these sources, as these sources are from the contemporary period. They are easily available. Yes, due to these sources we can study history very nicely and very easily. And these sources are, as they are from contemporary period, these are easily available. Since a subject like history touches all aspects of our lives, efforts for preservation of such sources are made at all levels. We should also contribute to these efforts. Yes, it is very true that the subject like history touches all the aspects of our lives, and efforts are made for preservation of historical documents or proofs or evidences like archives and all the things. If the documents in archives would be just vanished, means due to any flood, or if there is fire, anything can happen. To avoid this, their preservation is made already. That is, they are scanned with the help of scanners, so that in future, if they may not be there, if they get in fire or washed off in flood, we can have their numerous copies on the internet. So such preservations are made, and we should also contribute to these efforts. Thank you everyone. Have you liked this lesson and the method of teaching? If yes, please subscribe to the channel, like, and also share to your friends. Thank you.